everyone, and welcome into my gorgeous little kitchen. One of my favorite things to show you is how to get your confidence with making your own curry pastes. Now, once you have that confidence behind you, you will find that the whole world will literally open up to you. Once you know your own curry paste, you can then put those through very simple stir fries, curries, all sorts of dishes, and your friends and family will be very jealous of your newly found skill. One of my favorite curry pastes to show you is a beautiful Thai style Chiang Mai curry paste. The reason I love it is it's bursting with flavor, nutrition, and of course color being very, very important. So I'll show you both ways of how you can get this done. Of course, we can do it in a traditional pestle and mortar. However, my word of warning to you is if you are trying to bash down a curry paste in this tiny little pestle and mortar, you will find it'll be more effort than it's worth. So if this is the size pestle and mortar that you own, you might want to re-gift that and get yourself one of these big guys. So putting that small little pestle and mortar aside, if we are going to use the large guy, and this will do about 1 to 2 cups of a gorgeous curry paste, I have put in the recipe that I'm going to give you is that we can start off with a little bit of salt in here. Now, salt will act as an abrasive and really help you bash all of those beautiful fresh spices down. Now, when you've done it in the traditional pestle and mortar a few times, which is fabulous if you're in a terrible mood because there is lots of bashing and it's a great stress reliever, you can, if you're in a hurry the next time, possibly do it in a food processor. So this is a little bullet blender, very respectable. No one's going to doubt your culinary skills, but it does get the job done much easier. So once you've decided if you're going to go the traditional bash or you're going to go the Foster whiz method, let me show you what we put into this gorgeous curry paste. The one thing I wanted to show you was if you hate using fresh ginger because you are sick and tired of peeling it, if you do peel fresh ginger with a potato peeler, I find that it is a lot of waste and it is a lot of work. My favorite culinary device to use is, of course, a teaspoon. And if I just pull that nice and firmly and confidently past that skin, and be careful of your eyeballs, avert your eyeballs because ginger is quite fierce, I can get that skin off really quick and easy. So once I've peeled that ginger, and if this is really fresh and out of your garden, you could actually get away with just scrubbing it with the back of your scourer or something similar to that, because fresh is best. So with our pestle and mortar, we would have to chop this ginger down just a little bit smaller, otherwise you literally are going to have to bash it to death. So I'm just cutting that down using my lovely cleaver knife here, and I'm just getting it into a more manageable size. Of course, if we are using the cheat method, which is in the food processor, that could just be cut down into about centimeter cubes, and that would definitely blend down very successfully. Now, of course, every time you make this, you might adapt it to be your own personal recipe. So you'll find a lot of families and households, when they're creating their own curry paste, will have their special way to do it. So by all means, follow my recipe the first few times and then make it your own. So once I've got that ginger just into a more manageable size, I'm going for the quick and easy way because, of course, if your guests came in, we could transplant that into there and just do a little bit of fake bashing, and it would look like you had worked nice and hard. Like I said, nothing beats the traditional way because we do get 2 different pastes depending on which method you choose. So with the bash method in here, we're going to get a really fine mashed down paste, whereas here we're going to get a fine dice, unless you just add a little bit of liquid and it'll do the same thing. So I've essentially just chopped up whatever ginger I had, but like I said, I will give you this complete recipe so that for your first time you are nice and confident. Putting the ginger in there, and the next thing we want is some garlic. So with the garlic, I've got just a few cloves there, and of course, if I was doing it in the pestle and mortar, I would definitely just bash that down or chop it down a little bit, but this is a nice, quick and easy way. Now, we can keep this completely vegetarian or vegan, but traditionally, what I would add into here is some of that lovely, stinky shrimp paste. So shrimp paste you can find in most of your supermarkets. It is not the most pleasant thing sniffing it on its own, but it really does give us that beautiful base fundamental flavor that we love about Thai food. So I'm going to pop that lovely stinky shrimp paste in there. Also what I'm going to do, and that's what I love about this Chiang Mai curry paste, is my favorite spice, which is the turmeric, which is the culinary spray tan. So anything we add this to is going to be extremely sexy. The next thing we're going to add is chili. Now you can, of course, you and your family can decide how much chili you like. We like an obscene amount of chili. So I've got some red chili there, but that is not a very hot chili per se. So I'm going to add a little bit of bird's eye chili as well. And like I said, if this is making your eyes water, just put in just a tiny bit to taste. If you can see, I'm too lazy to take the seeds out of a chili. I always say life's too short to be scraping seeds out of the chili. So if I want it hot, I don't mind blending it all up there, but that's totally up to you. Now what we also will put in here is, if you don't have a lovely Asian shallot, what we can do is just substitute a little bit of onion. Often we can't find those, and I don't want you to not make this because you can't find them. However, if you do find them, just peel them, chop them up a little bit finer, and then we can pop them in there. They do make you tear up quite a bit though, but they are certainly worth it. So just before I blend that on my fabulous food processor, if you can find them, those beautiful Thai lime leaves are great. And if I was going to put them in the pestle and mortar, again, I would chop them a bit finer. But here in our lovely food processor, I can just throw them in there. Now, most people have a smoothie maker or a food processor, so yours might look a little bit different to mine. And you would know when you're making a smoothie that we do need to add a little bit of liquid just to help it really combine. So you can add a little bit of water here, but because we are going to probably use this as a Thai curry, I'm quite happy to put a little bit of coconut cream or coconut milk in there just to help wet it down. So I've just added about a quarter cup of that lovely coconut cream, and I'll keep that for later when I actually do the cooking. I'm going to pulse this a few times, and what we're going to have here is that beautiful fragrant yellow paste. So that was noisy, but definitely worth it. And I think you can see here by this vibrant paste why I get so excited about it. It's not only got flavor and personality, but the aroma is absolutely fabulous. And even though I could cook this straight through into a beautiful stir fry or a curry, you can also put it in your freezer for a rainy day. We also need to chop up some beautiful lemongrass. Now, most people are petrified of lemongrass, but it is really easy to use, especially if you grow it in your own garden. So you can see I'm just trimming the top and the bottom off of that. If it's nice and young, I don't mind using quite a bit of it. You'll see in some recipes that they'll tell you only to use the white bits. I think it's a terrible waste, but that's totally up to you. Now, I did actually forget to put this into our curry paste to start off with, but never stress, you can always fix it later. The thing with lemongrass is it is quite dangerous to chop, especially if you're getting it ready for the pestle and mortar. So what you can do is just put it on a flat surface. You can see I cut it in half lengthways, so I've got a nice flat base here. And this is literally like chopping down a twig. So you can hear my knife, luckily it's beautiful and sharp, really battling to get through there. So just slow it down and make sure you're nice and safe. So once I've got this slightly smaller, I can then put it through my Chiang Mai curry paste and blend it down. Now there's a few dishes that I can show you using this gorgeous curry paste. We can of course do a chicken as our protein, but if you do have anyone vegan or vegetarian in your friends or family's group, whatever I'm about to do with the chicken, you can of course do with some cooked and diced sweet potato. I've of course shortcut this recipe for you, and although we will be following exactly the same as a traditional curry by frying off our spices, I'm going to be a little bit lazy and take out one of those steps. And what I'm going to do is put my lovely chicken thigh just into a bowl here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that gorgeous fragrant yellow Chiang Mai curry paste as a marinade. So we're going to do exactly the same, and I, as you can see, made a bit extra so that I always have some for the fridge or freezer. So just coating that chicken and making it really glorious and yellow. And I'm doing this while that oil is getting nice and hot, and that is going to save me just a little bit more time in the kitchen. Now remember, when you do put something ice cold into a hot pan, if you are a compulsive stirrer, you are not going to get a lovely, sexy caramelization happening. So if your stir fries happen to be soggy, I would love to encourage you to just stop stirring and only stir when that is asking to be stirred. So this here, I've got a little bit of vegetable oil in. It's getting nice and hot, and what we want to hear is a sizzle when it hits the pan. Now you can see I'm just nudging it to the one side of this pan, and we are pushing our luck here a little bit because I've actually got 1 kilogram of the chicken thigh in there. So that is literally overcrowding the pan. However, if I back away from the pan and just let that first layer of chicken that hit the pan brown off and caramelize and let our spices roast, this will be absolutely gorgeous with no fuss at all. So this is literally where a lot of people fail at making fragrant curries or stir fries, is if you've already stirred this 3 times, whereas I literally haven't even made eye contact with that huge amount of chicken that has gone in there. Because remember, the chicken was ice cold with a wet marinade on it. The best thing I can do is just pop it into that pan, let it sizzle and let it brown. So when we can smell, and you'll smell the browning happening, I'm going to have a little look underneath. And that's what we want. We love that lovely caramelization where the chicken is brown and fragrant. I'm going to do a little bit of a half turn in the pan here. And you can hear it sizzling. It's still nice and gorgeous and hot. And then we can add the rest of our ingredients. So just manage the heat in the pan. And if it is too hot, turn it down. And of course, if it's too cold, you can turn it up. A little secret that I have is if you keep some of the pan empty, it does help keep the heat up in your pan. So while I'm waiting for all that chicken to brown off and that Chiang Mai curry paste is really thickening up and it's getting really gorgeous, obviously with our Thai flavor profiles, what we like to do is, and I do have some of that cooked sweet potato that I said you could add if you had any vegan or vegetarian friends or family. But also what we can do is when we're serving our curry, of course you can serve it with a rice or a coconut rice, but if we're just going to have it in a gorgeous bowl, what I like to serve it with are some of my famous sweet potato fries. So just having a peeled sweet potato, I use one of those little julienne peelers, and what I'm going to do is we're going to get some of this, I've got about 1 centimeter, not a lot of oil, and I don't like to fry a lot of things, but this is definitely worth it. While that oil heats up, I'm just going to pull some of this sweet potato, and that's a rather large one, just into a julienne. So you can just use a standard peeler. You'll get lovely, sexy ribbons. But while that curry is browning off, we've got the opportunity, the time, and you could, of course, go off and make some rice. But I'm going to do these little sweet potato fries because that's going to add some gorgeous color and texture on top of our sexy curry. So again, I'm just giving this curry, while we're waiting for our oil and our sweet potato fries, I'm just giving this curry a little half turn. Now that oil was lovely and hot, and I've just taken about a tongueful of the sweet potato that is cut into the little julienne. I've popped it into the oil, and literally, because they're so thin, they really do cook off nice and quickly. So all I'm going to do is wait for them to go nice and crunchy, and then drain them on some paper towel. Now, one of the reasons I love a Thai curry is not only because we made our own sexy little Chiang Mai sauce, but the way we finish our curry off. So what we're going to do is we're going to add that little bit of sweetness. Now you can use a normal sugar if you don't have a palm or a coconut sugar. I just use my grater, and you'll find these at your Asian supermarkets or even in your local supermarket. They should have that. And this is totally to your own personal taste. If you don't like a lot of sweetness, just put a little bit in there just to balance it out. So the next thing we need for that salty component is some lovely fish sauce. And of course it doesn't smell lovely all by itself in the bottle, but it does give that beautiful fundamental saltiness that we like about the Thai cuisine. And throughout this whole process, what I've done is I've really managed the heat in the pan, and I've sealed that beautiful chicken off, and what's happened is that Chiang Mai curry paste has thickened off beautifully. Now this sweet potato is of course already cooked. If it wasn't cooked, you would just have to make sure that you put the temperature down and let it get nice and soft and gorgeous. So by all means, we could definitely serve this as a lovely thick dry curry, but if you wanted to add a little bit of coconut cream or coconut milk, that would really deglaze the pan and get all of that valuable flavor off the bottom. Now this is ready to serve, and because of that beautiful yellow, I've actually chosen a blue plate because that'll really offset that gorgeous color, and this is all natural, so it's even better. Now we can, of course, I always use a little transporter plate just to make sure that I get everything into my plate nice and successfully without dripping on the sides. And then we're going to build up some very valuable texture over this curry dish. Now I do this another way. I also stack it in one of those little stacking rings, and I do it with a layer of a coconut rice. But this is a great way of just getting it and serving it as a curry goodie bowl. I'm also just going to take a little bit of coconut cream and drizzling it off my spoon. I'm just going to do a very sexy swirl there. I find that little clean drizzle of white looks really good in there. Now we've got our sweet potato fries that we made earlier. As you can see, they are gorgeous and crunchy, and we are going to put these on the top as the crowning glory. I can also, just as that signature of freshness, use a little bit of that gorgeous coriander and some extra fresh chili. Now, of course, if your friends and family don't like coriander, by all means, you don't have to put it in. But I absolutely adore it. And as you can see, I'm just being a little bit lazy here and just snipping it down with my scissors. I'm also going to add some more chili because I don't think you can ever have enough of it. I've just got a little red and a green chili out of my garden. And what I'm going to do is just pop a little bit of that as our culinary accessories over the top, and that will eat so well. Guys, enjoy making your version of Chiang Mai curry paste, and I look forward to cooking with you again soon.